What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A repeatedly. Justin Tomasello here with Chris Gold.
Hey, everybody. Let's try this again.
Welcome back, old friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's glad to be back. Sorry you guys kind of had to soldier on without me last week. Yeah, but you guys did a really good job. Listen to the episode last week. Dave was on, and I gotta say, Dave did an excellent job filling in. You were a little rusty. You really, for being perfectly honest, weren't on your A game last week. Really, honestly concerned about the future of the podcast going forward. But we can discuss that after we're done recording. But Dave just knocked it out of the park, man. He was, just an angel on the mic.
That's all for this week. As I strangle Chris.
Hey, come on. But no. I had off the week before because I was down in North Carolina visiting
Being
family.
surrounded by babies.
Just having a grand old time. It honestly, like, Justin, I know that babies are your arch nemesis in this world.
That's correct.
But it was fine. Like, my oldest nephew is only 4, and the youngest is going to be turning 2 soon. So they are right in that wheelhouse of Justin's hatred. They do have their annoying parts. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I mean, they're just little kids, you know. They've got needs, and they have their moments too where they're fun to play with, and like it's hard to describe. Like, they have those little moments where they're giggly and happy, and then there are the other moments. Like I already told you about this, Justin, but I'm gonna relay this story for the podcast.
Please do.
Where my brother, their father, he and I were in the living room. We were watching TV. And the oldest one, he's potty trained at this point, right? So he goes to the bathroom all by himself, and he takes care of his business. He comes out of the bathroom into the living room, and he's wearing his shirt and nothing else. From the shirt down is just completely bare naked.
What's the big deal? I do that.
Yes, but you're not 4, Justin. That's what you're doing is a felony. But he comes out and he says, "Daddy, I pooped." And it's like, okay, you know, kids poop, you know, it happens. But my brother is like, "Oh, you know, that's great, bud. You know, I'm so proud of you. Do you want me to come in and help clean you up?" And he says, "I want Uncle Chris to do it." And my brother is like, he's like, "You want Uncle Chris to do it?" And he turns to my face and just starts cackling like a madman, which I gotta be honest, like, taking a step backwards, if this had happened to anyone else, I would have had the exact same reaction. That's pretty funny.
He had the appropriate reaction.
But I'm thinking to myself, man, like, why? What possible difference could it make between me doing it and his dad doing it? You know, like, it's still going to wind up the same result. So my brother, thankfully, bless his soul, he took pity on me, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll do it," which was great because he goes in the bathroom. I'm still in the living room watching TV, and all I hear from the bathroom is, "Whoa, this is a lot." And I just wipe my brow like, whew, dodge that bullet.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so kids can be fun, but they can be very, very messy. You know what also can be fun, but also pretty messy, Justin?
What's that?
Indie games.
That was not our finest transition.
No. We've had better. We've had worse, but we've had better. That's actually the theme of the episode this week is indie games.
Yeah, so if you remember last week, we had mentioned about this episode that kind of got destroyed and would never see a light of day. So we figured, you know what, that was a great topic, and let's bring it back for this week. So yeah, we are going to talk about upcoming indie games that are coming out for the second half of 2018. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to that's coming out on all platforms, and we're just going to highlight some of the stuff that's really got us excited. So it's going to be a good discussion, and hopefully we'll turn you guys on to some things that you haven't heard of yet, and get you as excited as we are for these games coming out.
Yeah, especially there's a lot of gems that are coming down the pipe, and we want to shine a little spotlight on them so that everyone else out there can kind of get an idea of what's coming down and say, oh, they can be excited about it too. Because these games are honestly really creative and really innovative, and they deserve a lot of our attention and our focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, it's just the shift of games, I think we've discussed this before a little bit on the podcast, but the increase in popularity of indie games, they're becoming more appealing. People are starting to buy systems based on how well their indie library is compared to others. So,
right,
they're important. They're extremely important in the industry today, and we definitely need to highlight them and focus them, and cause that's where you see a lot of the heart in the indie games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of big time developers nowadays, they hone their craft in the indie games. Some of them make a very successful living just staying in the indie game scene, never even signing on with any of the big AAA publishers. So right. It's always good to showcase some of these games, and I'm excited to reveal my list.
List yours.
Just mine. I honestly don't care at all about the games that you have to show off, Justin.
Well, he's nothing if not honest.
No, I'm sure you've got maybe one or two in there that are actually worthwhile.
All right, but before we get to that, Chris, it has been a while since you've been on the show. Why don't you start off with, what are you playing?
What have I been playing? Justin, I am thrilled that you asked. So, before that episode had gotten scrambled, I had mentioned that I had written a blog post for our site where I was highlighting some new indie games that were coming out on the Nintendo Switch. And I decided to pick up and play one of those games for the first time, just to give a feel, test it out. And that game is Ink. It's a simple little indie game. You are this little cube, and you are in a world that's completely black. Everything is invisible and everything is black. And you can't see any of the platforms that you need to jump to. And the whole idea is you need to get from where you start out to this little rainbow door that's hidden somewhere in the level. But how are you supposed to jump to this area when the whole screen is black and you don't know where to go? The answer is in the ink. Your cube gives off sort of a rainbow coloring of ink. So like as you move around, the ink that you give off, kind of like a rainbow slug, for lack of a more attractive descriptor. It like changes color as you move along. So like as you move, it'll be red and then orange, yellow, and etc. It goes all down the rainbow, and you move along, and it just paints the platforms that you've been and where you can possibly go to. So you jump in the air, and then you hit the jump button again, and this will shoot out like a little spray of ink, kind of in all directions, like they'll arc out and rain down. And by doing this, like say you're skating along the edge of the platform that you start out on, and you realize, oh, you came to the edge, like you can't go any further, so you'll jump straight up, and then you'll hit jump again, and you'll spray ink all over, and then the ink will paint this little block that's a little bit above and in front of you, that you can jump to. So now you realize, oh, okay, there's a new platform I can jump to, so then you jump up to there. And you can wall jump on any of the surfaces. So you jump, so you can grab onto the side and then jump from the side of that block and land on top of it, so you can progress from there. So it's kind of like a puzzle platformer almost. Not so much, like the puzzle is in just figuring out which platforms you can go to. But it's mostly just kind of like a straight-up platforming type game.
Right. I love the idea of that, and I've been meaning to check it out because it reminds me of, there's a lot of levels in like the Mario games, like Super Mario, Sunshine, and even in Odyssey with those piranha plants that spit out the purple poison goo. And even like when you transform into that Stonehenge guy with the sunglasses and you kind of don't see the invisible platforms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they built a lot of platforming around like, invisible platforms, and you have to find a way to uncover them to see how to go. And I remember this being like a lot of fun, but also like a pretty fair challenge. And to have a whole game based around that idea, this sounds like a good time.
For the most part, it is a good time. If we're being honest, though, there are some limitations to the gameplay. I don't know if this is necessarily a feature or a bug of the game, because as you traverse the areas and you get ink all over the place, the controls can feel very floaty at times.
Right.
Like, it's not like you're jumping, like, oh, you're jumping to this one area and then you land there. Like, you'll jump and you will have trouble trying to land where you think you're going to land. Like, you'll hit the control stick a little bit to the left and it won't be enough, but if you push it too far, then you'll overshoot the block and you'll fall into the abyss and you'll die. And it can be very, very complicated and very frustrating, especially as the levels progress. Some of the blocks that you need to land on get smaller and smaller. So you need to be very, very precise about where you're jumping and where you're landing, and the controls just don't allow for that precision of control that you really need for that type of gameplay. So there were a lot of times where I was honestly feeling a little bit frustrated with the game.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it.
And also the game, like the levels, there are stages to the game. Like, you'll play through certain levels and then you'll finish a stage which actually has a boss. There are enemies in the game, which are these bigger cubes that just kind of traverse the area themselves, and you have to jump on top of them and kill them. And when you kill all of them, then the rainbow door at the end of each level unlocks, and then you can complete the level. And at the end of each stage, there's a boss battle. And I didn't even realize this until, like, I was literally just at the point where I was ready to just give up the game and say, okay, I'm done, I've seen enough. Because the levels get very, very repetitive very quickly. So I don't know how many levels. I must have played like 20 or so levels that were all just the same. Paint the platforms, find the new platforms, kill the enemies, and then get to the end. And you're just repeating that over and over and over again. And I'm playing this, I'm like, is this it? Like, is there any more? And just when I was like, all right, I think this is it, I hit a boss. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it actually, like, really caught me off guard. And I was able to take out the boss. He was nothing. And then I moved on to the next stage where the invisible blocks now on certain sides have spikes on them. And if you hit those spikes, you'll die. And that's when I said, okay, now I'm done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, The game is, like you mentioned, it's very clever in concept and it's really well designed. It's pretty fun for a quick little time killer. If it was maybe if the game was a mobile game, something you played on like your iPhone or Android, it might be better suited for something like that, maybe. But for just a sit-down game that you play on the Switch, it just really wasn't doing it for me. It just needs the tighter controls, and maybe if they lopped off a few of the levels in the middle there, I feel like it would have been a more solid experience.
Yeah, it sounds like if they just kind of increase that progression like faster, instead of 20 levels to get to that point, maybe it only took 5. It might have a little bit better of a flow, but yeah, sounds cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was still a fun time. Let me see. The week before we had recorded, I'm pretty sure it was the week before, was the annual Summer Games Done Quick event, Justin. And this is one of my favorite events of the year, just because you see all these speedrunners, they get together, they're raising money for a great cause, Doctors Without Borders, and they speedrun all of these amazing, really intense classic games that you wonder, how can they beat these games so quickly? And then they actually they do it, like, in front of a live audience and in front of like hundreds of thousands of people watching on Twitch and everywhere else. And what I'm getting to is the end of SGDQ. They ended the entire event with a run of Final Fantasy VI that took just about 7 hours to complete.
Is there bathroom breaks?
For the runners, I don't know. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think, whatever time you use, as soon as you start, you have to, like, keep going. And any time you use for bathroom breaks, I think that counts against you, because the game is still running.
Wow.
Yeah, so whatever bathroom breaks this guy was gonna do, I mean, he either had to take care of it right beforehand, like literally just beforehand, or he soiled himself. No, I'm not gonna say anything one way or the other about whether he did or he didn't, but he probably did. But the point of this story that I'm talking about, SGDQ and Summer Games Done Quick and all that, is because I watched the end of that run, and I was watching this guy play through and literally plow through Final Fantasy VI. I mean, this guy was incredible. And I'm just watching, and I was like, you know what? Final Fantasy VI really is an incredible game. And it just got me thinking about it. And finally, Justin, I had to pull out my ancient Game Boy Advance, which I'm looking at right now. It's not even a Game Boy Advance SP. It's the original Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
And my Game Boy Advance copy of Final Fantasy VI. And I had to plug it in and just start playing it.
I actually forgot that you own that.
Yes. Yeah, I actually have Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6 for Game Boy Advance.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I was playing through some Final Fantasy VI. Two things. One, on the original Game Boy Advance, for anyone out there who does not remember, that system did not have backlighting. I'm pretty sure it was the Advance SP where they introduced backlighting into the system for the first time.
That is correct.
And man, you don't appreciate a thing until it's gone. But man, trying to play Final Fantasy VI, or any game really, on one of those old school handhelds is it's a fun throwback to how things used to be. Do you remember, Justin, like the old days where you would like have a light on and you would be holding the handheld, you would be holding the system right underneath the light? Or if you were like driving in a car late at night, you'd have to wait till you were passing under like street lights to play the games.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yep, man, it took me right back to those old days, and I'm thinking, man, this sucks. This is terrible. The old days were awful. Yeah, give me backlighting any day of the week, man. This is, oh, yeah, it is a chore playing it on the system.
We should look up a mod for installing a backlight in your Game Boy Advance.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, take this thing apart and, play with it a little bit. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But second point is, man, oh man, Final Fantasy VI is such a great game. It's so good. Like, from the jump, like, literally you start out and, like, it gives you that narrative text telling you about, like, the War of the Magi and how the evil Gestalian Empire is trying to harness the magic to take over the world. And then you start out, like, there's Biggs, Wedge, and Terra in the Magitech armor, and they're overlooking the village of Narsh right in the very beginning of the game, right? And then they're like, all right, blah, 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 she's a slave. She'll do whatever she wants, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, all right, let's go. And it was just such a cool, like, I honestly had forgotten about this scene where, like, all the magic, like, it's that mode 7 perspective where you see the armor, like, marching through the snow,
right,
and the credits are, like, playing overhead as Terra's theme is playing in the background. And I'm just like, man, this game, like, oh, like, I forgot how it's a 2D sprite-based game, but it just looks and feels so cinematic. Like, it honestly feels like you're playing this epic movie, which is just an absolutely incredible accomplishment for a 16-bit SNES era game. It's just like there's not enough words in the English language to express how great this game is. Like,
everything about that game is just incredible. Like the music, the characters, the writing, the graphics, the gameplay. Like, it is an epitome, of an RPG. It's like, without a doubt, one of the best ever made. And it's not even just like, oh, you're looking at it through rose-colored glasses, because every time I've ever popped it back in to replay it, like, I get that, like, chill, like the chills on the back of my neck, like, it's such a great experience. I actually have it, so I have the original cartridge, with me right now, and our Super Nintendo, and I just recently got new controllers for Super Nintendo, so I could play it on there. And I also have the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, and it's on there as well, so I could, hook that up too. But yeah, like you, I really do want to play it again. I know my brother Nick was really talking about playing it again, because that's like one of his favorite games of all time. And yeah, I know that the Summer Games Done Quick really ignited that for a lot of other people to want to play that again. And it's great. What a great experience.
Yeah, there's some games that are just timeless. Like, some games, yeah, like, they were great for their time, but nowadays you play them and they're like, this really doesn't hold up. Final Fantasy VI, you can play that. I don't care if you play it when it first came out, or if you pick it up and play it for the first time tomorrow. It is going to feel fresh and amazing every single time. Like, truly, like, you don't throw this label around a lot, but it is a perfect game.
Especially now, that sprite-based graphics are not just something that was like, oh, that was what it was like back then. It's like something that's revered and wanted right now. I mean, look at Octopath. You got a sprite-based RPG coming out in 2018, So, and arguably the pinnacle of the sprite-based graphics was during the Super Nintendo era. And going back and seeing them again and just really paying attention to the detail and the world that they could create, with these limitations is incredible. Like, if you look back to another game that's fantastic and timeless, like, let's say Ocarina of Time for the 64, and don't get me wrong, it still is, but when you play it, it's going to look a little dated because the 3D graphics were new, it was a new experience. We were still learning kind of how they worked and everything. And a lot of these classic 64 games or PS1 games, they're really hard to play now because they just kind of look so terrible in comparison of what we're used to now in 3D graphics. But with the sprite-based stuff, again, that was like the pinnacle, the best it could look, and just going back to it now, like it's there is no degradation of that. Like it still feels fantastic and fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. And rounding out my top three, this may actually come as a surprise to you, Justin. I was playing Final Fantasy VI, and I was on a bit of an RPG kick. And I was like, you know what? I'm feeling like I need to play something a little more modern, And I had always had this game on my radar. In fact, I had always had this game in my Steam library. I had picked it up a long while ago, back I think when it was on sale. But I never had the space to actually play the game on my computer. But now that my computer is beefier and mightier than ever before, and it actually has the space, I was able to download and play it. That game, of course, is The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt.
Whoa.
Yes. So I finally dove into the world of Geralt of Rivia and the entire Witcher thing that they've got going on here. Zool, I know you're out there probably listening at some point. Don't yell at me for anything, okay? I'm ankle deep. That's the thing too. Like I started the game and all the cutscenes are like really, really cool and everything is really dramatic and it does a good job. The game does a fantastic job of getting you invested in a lot of the characters early. Like there's the Witcher in training, Ciri, and Geralt is helping to train her, and oh god, Zool's gonna kill me. The guy who's the master, his name starts with a V.
Big Vin.
Big Vin, yeah, Vinny, yeah, Vinny the V. He's helping.
Hey, yo, Geralt, what are you doing?
Hey, yo, Geralt, what are you doing over here? You gotta watch your footwork. Oh, man, Zool is going to strangle me with his bare hands. Deservedly so. But, yeah, and the game does, and it does a really good job, again, in establishing the world and the characters. You're hunting this woman who Geralt knows. I don't know. I never played Witcher 1 or 2, so I don't know if he knows her from the previous games, probably. But her name is Yennefer. And it's not Jennifer that's pronounced like cute. Like it's Yenn-fer, And yeah. She's on the run and she's like using magic to try to escape from something. And you, as Geralt and your master, Vinny the V, you are traversing the world trying to find her. And Geralt is having these nightmares of this ancient evil that's like rising up to, I guess, to like destroy the land, called the Wild Hunt. And again, I'm very, very early in the story, so nothing is too established yet. I know the Witchers themselves are considered cursed, and so everybody looks on them and just kind of reviles them, and it's like, you save us from like all sorts of mythical creatures and et cetera, you're despicable. And I'm like, whatever, man. Like, just pay me my money and go. But yeah, I'm already running into like various little side quests that are like everything is separate. Like it's a complete open world, so I'm free to do and go wherever I want. And I'm just finding side quests like left and right, man. I'm like, there's a ghost that's inhabiting this well, or here's a merchant who's by the side of the road. My cart went off on the side of the road over there, but there's monsters. Can you go retrieve my items for me? And especially that one. Like, I've heard before that The Witcher 3's quests are always deeper and they have some twist to them that goes beyond what you think is going to happen, but it's never like as simple as like, hey, go to that cart and fetch that thing for me. And I discovered that very early on. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was just really clever and just kind of like unforeseen how they were able to work different little twists into the world and always keep you guessing and keep you anticipating what happens next. Combat feels pretty good. You can dodge different places. You swing a regular sword to fight human and regular foes, a silver sword for like otherworldly monsters and creatures like that. So you have your two swords with you. Plus you're going to have magic abilities, like you can throw fire, you can put a shield up for yourself. It's honestly like really, really cool. Again, I am only ankle deep into this game so far. I've got a long, long way to go. But so far, I'm really enjoying what I've played. And yeah, I can't wait to play a lot more.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I've been wanting to play that forever. I'm just like intimidated by just how like big of a game it is, and I just feel like I never have enough time to devote to really big games. But hopefully, I can just give it a shot and maybe really get sucked in. How's it running on your computer actually?
It's actually running very smoothly. Yeah, I'm not having any no stuttering issues, no like big frame rate drops or anything like that. Yeah, I've got a pretty beefy beast here. Thank you, Butch. And it's, I'm able to run the game very, very well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you got a new graphics card and new processor and all that stuff. So, yeah, you're ready to roll.
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Now, the graphics card I got for myself, but the rest of it came from Butch.
Right, yes.
Yes.
Are you playing on keyboard and mouse, or are you using a controller?
I started out keyboard and mouse for a little bit, and then I grabbed my PS4 controller as fast as I could and plugged that right in, because the control scheme for keyboard and mouse is like, to dodge, you hold the Alt button and then press W, A, S, or D to dodge in that direction. And then to switch weapons, you have to hit C. And then to select your one sword, you hold down C and press 1. And you use space to jump. And I was like, nope. I am not using the entire keyboard to control this game. That is absolutely not going to happen. So I popped in controller and it was like, oh, to dodge, press this button in any direction. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, some games are a little bit easier to play with mouse and keyboard, and some are not so much.
Yeah, but yeah, good times. And that is really all that I've been playing so far. So now, gonna throw it right on back to you, Justin. What are you playing?
Awesome. Sounds like you have a pretty productive week. I played a lot, but it was just all of one game, and that is Harvest Moon 64. I'm still sucked in completely. Just working away, killing the hours on my farm. I'm into year 2. I think I'm in the middle of summer in year 2. So I'm making a lot of progress. I blasted through winter. You can't grow any crops in winter unless you have a greenhouse, and I cannot afford it. So it was nice to not have to worry about the crops, though, because then I can work on some other things. Like, I got a couple expansions for my house. I got a bathroom, a kitchen. So no more pooping in the woods from this guy.
Yeah, I mean, you can still do it if you want to. I mean, you're your own man. Who's gonna stop you?
the weirdest expansion that I bought was it just said staircase. So I was like, oh, all right, cool. I can get like a second story to my house. So I gather all the lumber and the resources, and I pay the guys, and they come to work on your. When you get an expansion, they come to your house for like 3 or 4 days, and they just kind of work on it while you do other things like tend to your animals or crops or whatever. And it was like the fourth day, and they were like, okay, we're all done. We really hope you enjoy the upstairs. I really think you're gonna like it. And then they left. I was like, all right, I can't wait to check it out. And so I come over to my house, and I see like this little like opening on the roof, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then I go inside, and there's this huge staircase to the right of my bed. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I like run up there, and it just puts you out on top of the roof. And you can't do anything. You can like walk around on the roof, which is a very, very small area, and that's it. And then you just go back downstairs, and like there was this 0 point to it, and I don't know why that anybody would ever want something like that.
Can't you even put like furniture up there or something? Can you?
No,
you can't expand the space or?
Nope. No, and no. It's
Oh.
just a platform that you can walk on that's elevated, and that's it.
Well, I guess if you're you want to just like go up there and I don't know, look at the stars or
Yeah,
something,
I mean,
maybe.
maybe.
That'd be cool if like it did have that option of just like, oh, press A to lie down and just like watch the stars or something. Like that seems like the type of relaxing crap that something like Harvest Moon would have,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, all right, maybe that's what it's for. I don't know. Yeah. So last week I was talking about how I was trying to keep up this ridiculous charade of romancing all of the women in the village.
Oh yes,
And
yeah. Yeah. Please tell me how that's going for you so far.
Well, I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but it was getting out of hand to the point where there's literally not enough time in a day for me to talk to them all. And it got to the point of I was like, you know what, I'll just sell my animals. That way I don't have to take care of them anymore, and I can devote more time to talking to these women.
That is the mentality of a madman, by the way.
Yeah. Well, thankfully I realized that. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. I need to narrow this down. So I narrowed it down to Karen, because Karen was the one I was farthest along with, and she is also the one where I knew where she was most of the time, because during the day, most of them are at their specific locations where they live and work. Like Popuri's working in a flower shop, and Ellie's in the bakery. But on their days off or at night, it's super hard to find them, because I guess they just go to bed at like 6 o'clock, like 90% of the town. But Karen works at the bar at night, so if I miss her during the day, I can just go to the bar and see her there.
Oh, okay. Clever.
Yeah, so having that being known, she was the farthest along. And, I like Karen. I think she's an interesting character. And I was like, all right, I think this is what I'm going to do. So, the months pass, and I'm focusing on Karen. I get her heart level all the way up to pink, which I think is the maximum. All right, it's time to pop the big question.
All right.
So, first, in Harvest Moon games, you have to find a blue feather and give the blue feather to the woman of your choice, or man of your choice if you're playing as a woman, and, to pop the question. And I didn't know how you get the blue feather in this one. And it turned out, in the beginning of the second year, there is a new character that shows up, a entomologist, and he's looking around the area for a specific blue butterfly. And I'm like, okay, this totally has to be how you somehow get the feather. So I have to plant this blue flower to get the blue butterfly to come, And there's this whole thing where you have to go to the store and buy the seed and then water it every day in this specific location, and eventually the flower will bloom. So that takes about like a week of work. It did that. The flower bloomed. No blue feather at all. So I'm like, okay, I guess this isn't how you do it. I'm not even sure, what I'm supposed to do now. So I'm just kind of like walking around the town and stopping by places, and there's one guy, Rick, who sells his crazy inventions, and first of all, he's barely open. He's closed on weekends and Wednesdays. He's open on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 to 6. And when I do go in there, he like never has anything. Maybe like once in a blue moon, he has something to sell. So it had been like a month of, just going there and this empty shelves. I'm like, all right, screw this guy. So I'm just randomly walking in there one day, and I don't know why, I don't know how, but he has the blue feather on sale.
Okay.
Yeah, 1,000 gold. And he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna ask a big question, huh? Well, I guess I'll even knock off some of the price for you. Instead of 1,000, I'll sell it to you for 980 gold.
Oh, thanks. Wow, what a cheapskate.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, I get it. And I run over to Karen a couple days later. I'm like, all right, this is the day. I'm gonna pop the question. So I get the blue feather, and you just kind of like, you hold it in front of them, and then you press like the activation button, and your character just kind of like throws his hands at the sky, and like these blue little sparkly like sparkles or whatever just kind of fall on top of the girl, and she's like, what? You want me to? Of course, yes, of course I will. I'm like, all right, great, we're getting married. Hey, this is great.
All right, cool, whatever.
Yeah. And then I talked to her, and she's just like, see ya. And I'm like, okay, I guess we'll talk more about this big life-changing event tomorrow.
She's just like, oh great, got married at 6, have to go to the store, pick up stuff for dinner, oh how was your day? Oh, it's great. I'm getting married. Oh, nice.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was like, all right, I guess we'll plan this out later. And so 4 or 5 days pass, and no mention of like the whole marriage thing even comes up at all from anybody. And I'm like, did this even like activate? Like, this is so weird. Whenever I talk to her, she's just saying the normal stuff that she was always saying. And yeah, it's been really weird. And that was where I left off. So I still don't know. I remember you do have to wait a couple of days for like, I guess, the event to be planned. But I'm not getting any notifications from anybody, like nothing in the mail about like a date or on my calendar. So yeah, I don't really know what happened.
No one's No one's answering their texts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's no Penny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to Penny, and she was over the moon. It's all she could talk about for days.
Yeah. I guess things aren't really that big of a deal. So I don't know if you know this, but you can actually get divorced in Harvest Moon 64.
I did not know that. I know you could get divorced in Stardew Valley, which kind of led me to assume that you could get divorced in Harvest Moon also.
Yeah, Harvest Moon 64 was the first one of the series where you could actually start dating people and stuff. And it was a lot of the series staples first were in that game. And yeah, I wasn't exactly sure how it worked, so I went on YouTube and we just watched a bunch of videos of like, the relationships with the different women, like, ending poorly.
Oh god, that must have been a fun watch.
Yeah, it's a real bummer.
Just seeing relationships just end left and right, and you're like, yeah, let's watch another.
So I think if you just don't talk to your wife and like don't give her anything, or just basically straight up ignore her, one day you come home and there's a letter on your coffee table that says like, I am so mad at you. I'm going to my parents for a little while.
Oh, jeez.
And then, like, you can go to their house, their parents' house. And the parents are like, oh, Karen's in her room. Can you please talk to her? And you have the option to, like, okay, I'll talk to her, or no, and I don't want to. And if you talk to her, you can, like, salvage it. But if you say no, like, that's pretty much it.
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah. So, pretty brutal stuff. But I just, it's impressive how many different dialogue trees and different cutscenes and stuff that are available in this game for like this game that came out in 1999. I mean, there's a bunch of cutscenes that I never even seen before when I was playing when I was a kid. You have to do certain things to trigger different cutscenes, and like there's plenty that you'll miss in playthroughs just because you didn't follow a certain path. Like the other day, I got a bunch of cutscenes between the mailman and Maria because they're like a love interest thing. And I guess because I was talking to Maria and the mailman a lot, you start to learn their story. And then, I was going to the library where she works, and then like these cutscenes triggered with like him like coming to talk to her and like being all bashful and stuff. And I don't remember that at all when I was a kid. So it's really cool how they could do that, throw that stuff in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is impressive, all the details that they can pack in there.
Unfortunately, the game is pretty poorly translated, so you'll see a lot of like typos and just kind of weird out of context, sentences from characters and stuff.
Right.
There was one cutscene that I still don't understand what I saw. I walked into the bar and it was Karen and this guy named Kai who works with Karen. Karen's family owns a winery and he works there too. And it was just Karen like on the ground in the middle of the bar, and she said something like, "Ugh, so stupid." And then Kai said, "Karen." And then Karen stood up and walked out of the bar. And then I talked to Kai, and he said, "I will continue to work hard." And then I left, and like that was the end of the cutscene. I was like, "What? What does
Bravo.
that mean? What does happen?"
Bravo. Oh, that brings a tear to my eye. Oh, it's
So like
the drama.
I went on Google. I was looking up like Harvest Moon fan pages and stuff, just trying to understand what the hell that was supposed to signify, and nobody really had like a clear answer. And they're like, "Oh, I think it means that like if you don't date Karen, Kai dates Karen, and like that's some sort of scene that like it's supposed to be that they're like getting ready to start dating," or like it made no sense. Still have no idea. Yeah, very strange.
That doesn't make any sense, but all right.
I will continue to work hard.
Well, you better continue to work hard if you want to marry Karen.
Hey, I literally asked her to marry me. I mean, I don't know what else I can do.
You gotta ask her harder. You gotta be forceful. You can't leave her any room to say no. That's always the key to a successful marriage proposal.
Persistence is key.
Don't listen, kids. No means no.
But yeah, that's been my week in gaming. So that's going to bring us directly into the Indie Arcade.
Indie Arcade.
Yes, the Indie Arcade.
Yes. If you remember last week, I assigned Chris the game Oxenfree to play. Chris, why don't you take it away?
All right, so Oxenfree. Let me bring up my notes. Okay, so Oxenfree is an interesting game. It's sort of like an adventure puzzle type game where it's a 2D environment, but all the characters are sort of 3D models. So they everyone walks around and you can see their entire bodies turn as they're moving left and right. And the entire game sort of has like a painterly, almost like I want to say kind of like a watercolor feel to it.
Yeah.
It almost looks like you're playing a storybook. almost like a kind of like a children's storybook, but like for a mature children's book, for like older children. It's got like a really, really cool look to it. I was definitely a fan of that. Story-wise, you are this teenage girl named Alex. And Alex has a new stepbrother named Jonas. And as the game begins, you're on a boat, and you're sailing to this old island, and you're meeting up with a bunch of friends, because the island used to be a military base, which got decommissioned years ago. Nobody goes there. So these teenagers are now going to the island, and they're going to just hang out there, going to have a bonfire on the beach, teenage things. And the way the game is set up, it's actually pretty interesting. There are no cutscenes whatsoever. You can, as Alex, you can walk around the environment and you can interact with everything throughout all the gameplay. So even when characters are having a conversation, potentially an important conversation that affects how the story goes, you can just walk away from that conversation and just continue to explore some of the island at your leisure. But there are certain parts that are scripted that you can't just simply avoid. You get like trapped in, and then you have to try to figure out like a way to get through the puzzle itself. Let me see. So as Alex, you are presented with these various dialogue options, and this is one of the key features of the game. It made it so highly acclaimed when it first came out a couple years ago. As the characters are talking to you, they'll be like, oh, I think, X, Y, and Z. What do you think, Alex? And these dialogue options will be presented to you. But the thing is, the characters might not necessarily be done talking. Like, they'll be like, what do you think, Alex? Because me personally, I think, blah, 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 blah. And then another character will be like, yeah, but, you say that, but, you could be like, blah, 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 blah. And in the meantime, you still have your dialogue options open and available to you. So the dialogue options, after they're opened up, they start to slowly fade as the conversation goes along. So you can actually choose which dialogue option you want to use and when you want to use it. So you can actually interrupt the conversation as it's going on, and it just interject with whatever it is you want to say. You can wait just at the end for everyone to be done before you provide your own answer, or you could even just let all the dialogue options fade away and you just won't say anything at all. You'll just stay silent.
That's actually a really cool little way to change up,
Yeah, it's
like a dialogue tree stuff.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep things dynamic. It also like opens up a lot of different branching paths, because the way that you interact with each of the characters, it could potentially affect your relationship with these characters. And the way this is shown, like, whenever you're talking, like, the dialogue options show up as word balloons that pop up in front of you. Now, the dialogue isn't all in word balloons. It's, like, text that pops up at the bottom of the screen. But you can just choose which one of those word balloons to pick, and then that text will appear at the bottom of the screen.
Did you ever have a point where they had like the 3 dialogue options, but you didn't answer right away, and you listened to them talk, and you were going to pick one, but based on something they said during that conversation, you like changed your mind and picked another one?
Oh, sure. There were a bunch of moments that were like that. It just all depends like how the conversations go, and again, like the way you answered dialogue tree earlier could affect like how the dialogue goes later on. And depending on a certain dialogue choice that you make, you can actually see little word bubbles pop up that have different characters' faces in them. So like if a character, say you're having a conversation with another character, and then somebody else comes up and is like, hey, Alex, I really need to talk to you. Hey, can we talk? Like, Alex. And you can say, like, you can ignore the person you're talking to and be like, yeah, what do you want? Or you can be like, not now, I'm having a conversation. Can't you see that? And depending on what you pick, like, you'll see a little word balloon pop out of the different characters that will have your face in that. That means that your relationship with them has been affected. It doesn't tell you whether it's been affected positively or affected negatively. It just means that your relationship has been affected in some way. And it also happens like between different characters. Like if you talk about a third party character and say, oh, actually this character is like this. And they'll be like, oh, wow, I never knew that about her. And then like a word balloon will pop up with that character's face in it. So you can actually affect like relationships between the other characters also.
Teen Gossip Simulator.
Teen Gossip Simulator, man, you have no idea. You truly have no idea. Because the writing in this game like is very good in that it does a great job in conveying a bunch of teenagers who are stranded together on an island, and basically like a bunch of weird paranormal stuff starts happening, so they have to like kind of band together and figure out what exactly is going on. They have to solve the mystery of what's happening. So the writers do a really good job in conveying teenagers who are trapped on an island together. The downside is they do a really good job of conveying teenagers who are trapped on an island together. Because, oh man, these teens, oh my lord, they are just like, they're so annoying. They're all so annoying just because they are teenagers. Like some of them are like they try to sound cool, or one of them is like, I don't care because blah 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 blah, or one of them like tries to sound way smarter than like hey guys, I'm smart, I know things, and it's like, and because the game is so reliant on the dialogue system to depend on like how the game goes and how the dialogue options open up and what endings you can get, these freaking teens never shut the hell up. They're always talking to each other, because like Alex will be like, she's wandering off, and then she's like talking to herself or something, and then she'll stumble on one character, and then they'll be talking and jabbering, talking like, hey, do you think something had this? I don't know. Hey, remember that time back in like 5th grade when like we used to play tag? Oh man, you always used to cheat and blah blah blah. And I'm like, shut up, just shut up, for the love of God, shut up.
Do they have all the tropes, like the goth kid, the nerdy kid, the jock kid?
It's not the Breakfast Club trapped on an island, but it's like just a bunch of standard teens, they're normal kids and they're trapped on the island. They're not like, none of them fall into any specific tropes or anything. Like none of them is like, oh, there's the cheerleader and there's, there's the jock or the stoner or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, they're all relatively well adjusted, I guess, but they're just teens, and I'm like, ugh. But yeah, as you interact though, you have like a little radio that is pretty much how you interact with a lot of the puzzles in the game. Basically, like a lot of radio frequencies are what affects the paranormal stuff that's going on the island. So like different puzzles need to be solved, like, oh, the lights have gone out in this one area, and the door is controlled by like this power switch. So to bring the power back on, you have to turn the radio frequency to the right signal, and then it will trigger the power to go back on, and it will unlock the door, and you can progress.
Oh, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's how you interact with everything. The soundtrack to the game was honestly like a little disjointed. Like there are times as you're traversing the island, like you'll listen on the radio, and I guess it's part of like the whole paranormal aspect of it. Like you'll hear some like old timey tunes, like little jazz numbers popping through the radio, something you'd hear in like the 20s or whatever. And then but like in the beginning and during otherwise quiet moments where you're traversing the island, it's got like not like a real, not like a funky electro type soundtrack going on. It's not like, but it's like a little quieter, a little more mellow than that. But it still takes you out of moments where you're talking about, oh, when I was like 5, I remember when I was 10 and, my dad died or he left he left us. And in the background, it's just like, and I'm like, man, this is really clashing with the tone of the scene that they're trying to go for here. Like, I am not feeling this. And which was honestly a little disappointing. Like, overall, like, I thought the game was all right. Like, it was interesting, but I don't know. It just really wasn't my cup of tea, if we're gonna be honest. Like,
Hey, well,
yeah, I mean, I liked some parts for what they were, but overall, yeah, the game just it just didn't do it for me.
that is more than fair. I'm happy you checked it out. I was very curious about it. Yeah, the dialogue heavy games, as it really goes to show how hard it is to convey a story, through just basically dialogue. I mean, sometimes it can be a little much, and you kind of have to pepper in not only character flavor and stuff, but just progression and just an overall good suspenseful story maybe. And it might be harder to keep interest if the characters are kind of grating.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just really hard to get invested in the characters themselves, and yeah, it didn't do anything for me.
Yep, very cool.
All right, Justin. Now, I know what you're thinking. Before this past week, I had given you Firewatch, a very highly acclaimed, critically beloved game. This past week, you gave me Oxenfree, another critically beloved game that was on Game of the Year lists and all that. And I know what you're thinking. You're rolling your eyes and saying, here we go again. Chris is going to give me another well-regarded, highly acclaimed, critically beloved game. I can't believe this. Well, Justin, you're in luck, because I am breaking the mold this week, and I am giving you some trash to play this week.
You know what? I'm actually okay with that.
See, I knew you would be.
I just hope it's not something that's just...
It's not sexual.
Okay.
It is not sexual. I can say that right up front. It's so you don't have to worry about hiding the screen when Butcher Zool burst into your room. Seeing if you're looking at them anime titties.
Yeah.
No. But trust me, this game probably will make you sick just the same. So the game I am giving to you, Justin, is on Steam. And you're actually in luck, though, because it's on a week-long deal this week. It's 60% off, so it only costs $1.19.
Oh, God.
Justin, your game this week is Fallen.
As in Fallen?
That's it. To quote, story of a father who is in search of his son who has fallen in a cave. You play as father and fight with monsters, ghosts, and deadly animals to save your son. This game has also local multiplayer, which can be played up to 4 players.
Oh my God. Wow, so I can't even find this right now.
You can't find it?
No. I mean, there's a lot of Fallens.
Here it is. All right, I'm going to send you the link over Skype. So, story of a father who is in search of his son who has fallen in a cave. Story involves 3 worlds. 1, cave. 2, spooky. And 3, jungle. You play as father and fight with monsters, ghosts, and deadly animals to save your son, and the game also includes epic boss battles. This game has also local multiplayer, which can be played up to 4 players.
There's so many typos in this thing.
This is very, very heavily typoed. Oh, man.
I'm sorry. I just read the multiplayer modes. Oh, okay. These are the multiplayer modes. 1, bat hunting. 2, headhunters. 3, last man standing. 4, king of the hill. 5, death race. 6, ground control.
And?
7, pick that pumpkin.
What could that possibly mean?
Oh my god.
Yeah, how do you play Pick That Pumpkin?
I don't know, but you should get this game too so we can play the multiplayer mode.
We should. Oh man, I gotta be honest, Justin. I am watching the gameplay trailer for the first time, and this doesn't look great. I mean, it doesn't look terrible.
Well, it's weird. The screenshots are like this, dark, kind of black, heavily black colored aesthetic. And then if you scroll down to update 1.8.1, it looks like Stardew Valley.
It does. It looks exactly like Stardew Valley. What the hell? That doesn't make any sense.
So I don't know what I'm getting here.
Oh my god. Oh man, what is this? Like, what game? I looked at the read more to like. There's a lot of screenshots. Like, hold on. Oh wait. Hold on. It says, just so you know, I'm a one-man studio. I worked on Fallen for 2 years. Blah blah blah. So everything fixed. This update just fixed it in bugs. I'm now working on an open-world RPG game, Stupid Night, and need community help to bring this game life. Please join this group. Give your ideas. Some screenshots of Stupid Night. Okay, so this is a completely different game that this person is working on, called Stupid Night.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. I mean, hey, you know what? Props to this guy. This Stupid Night looks very, very different from Fallen.
Yeah.
So like
sure does.
he's expanding himself a little bit. I mean, yeah, that's fine. Like, yeah, we'll see. I mean, the game only has a few user reviews and they're pretty negative. I did a lot of deep diving to try to
I was just gonna say, how did you find this? Because when you go to the Steam store and type in Fallen, it doesn't even come up.
Yeah, I went to the Steam store and I looked up all the top sellers, sorted by user reviews, and then picked out the indie tag. And then I went to the very end of the list and kind of worked my way forward a little bit, several pages, because I mean there was a lot of like absolute garbage in there that honestly was not worth your time to play, even as a junk indie arcade game.
Right.
Some of them were like, "Oh, this game is garbage," but it was also like $20 or some. Some of them took up like 2 gigs of space, and I'm like, man, this is like way too much. I can't do that. Give you an idea of how deeply I was embedded in the weeds here. As I was searching, I found Drug Wars.
Oh,
as I
God.
was searching. So I was like, oh man, I'm in the good ones here. And then, Justin, when I found Drug Wars, I worked backwards from that. So I would find something that was lower rated than even that.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Of course, I'm always there to watch out for you.
Oh, there's a free demo of Fallen if anyone's interested.
Oh, is there?
All right. Well.
All right. So that is your indie arcade. I hope you enjoy.
I can't wait.
I can hear the excitement in your voice.
What do you say we take a break and I can splash some water on my face to cleanse what I just saw?
Sounds good to me.
We'll be back. Welcome back to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Thomaso here with Chris Gold, and it is time for us to list a bunch of indie games coming out this year that we're excited for, and we hope that you'll be excited for. And honestly, I hope that some of the stuff that we say here today is stuff you haven't heard of before, and that you'll look into it and, be just as pumped as we are.
Yeah, these are, again, a lot of really interesting gems that you don't really see a lot of buzz or hype for out there. So we're hoping to generate a little buzz in our small corner of the gaming sphere.
Absolutely. As we said earlier, indie games are more prominent than ever. They are, chances for people to really step outside the box and experiment. And, a lot of these games just have a lot of heart, so some of them are just really timeless experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin, why don't you kick things off with your first indie game?
Yeah, so the first one I want to talk about actually came out last week on July 12th, and that game is called Bomb Chicken on the Switch. And it is exactly what you think it is. It is a chicken that lays bombs instead of eggs.
That's pretty clever. I mean, I've laid a couple of bombs myself in my time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, it is a puzzle platformer. I was watching some of the screenshots and videos of it, and it reminded me of the play mechanics of Box Boy, if you've ever played any of those games where Box Boy can produce a number of boxes from himself that he uses to, lift to a higher ground, to reach a higher platform, to make a hook to hang on to a platform after jumping. And in Bomb Chicken, you kind of lay these bombs and you can stack them and lay them out sporadically to blow up different things, and this basically help you progress through the level and defeat enemies. And it's got this cool, really goofy, cartoony style, and yeah, the game is just so wacky, and I really love that about indie games. They can just be super weird if they want to be, and the cover image of the game is just a chicken with a giant explosion behind him, and it just looks so fun. So I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm going to soon. Yeah, Bomb Chicken on the Switch.
All right, nice. First game I'm going to talk about is from one of my favorite genres, the unfortunately named Metroidvania genre. This is a game that is coming out at the end of this month, July 31st, to Steam, PS4, and PS Vita, and that is Chasm.
Never heard of this one.
Chasm is it's a procedurally generated game. It's the game describes itself as a platform adventure, which frankly is a much better term than Metroidvania. And it's got a kind of like a pixel-based sprite look to it. The combat itself reminds me a lot of Castlevania in terms of like you have the move where you can like dodge backwards to get out of the way of different enemies. You can jump and dive to avoid various enemies' attacks. You shoot at different enemies, or you can use melee attacks to attack different enemies, and you'll see numbers pop out as you're damaging them. So it's definitely got a big Castlevania influence in that sense. The procedural generation comes from the actual dungeon crawl. It's kind of like a dungeon crawler also. So as you go through the world, it just automatically generates itself, and so each time you play it, it's never the same game twice. It looks really, really cool. Again, those platform adventure type games are right up my alley. And yeah, it's coming out in just a couple of weeks, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I'm going to have to watch some videos on that one.
Yep, and again, that is Chasm.
Cool. That's CHASM.
That is correct.
And not Kazam, the Shaq movie.
No, it is not that movie. Nothing will ever be that movie. I am Kazam. Yep, we're gonna green egg and ham it.
Briefly, speaking of Shaq, I heard that the new Shaq Fu game that came out is actually really cool, and I almost picked it up the other day. I might check it out in the future.
All right, special preview of the next episode, folks. Stay tuned.
Let's see. Next for me, I'm keeping with the weird cartoony theme, and this is Pool Panic, a game coming out, being developed by or published by Adult Swim Games. And Pool Panic, if you haven't seen it, is like a very goofy looking game where you play as a pool cue or cue ball, and there are the actual pool mechanics of a pool cue like hitting you and then you roll and to hit the other pool balls. But outside of that, it's like a kind of weird I guess a platformer maybe, but like a world-based exploration game where like you're a cue ball with like arms and legs and a face, and like you're like just running through these towns and talking to these villages and like meeting these different people, and it's just real goofy music playing. It's kind of hard to explain. You're gonna have to maybe watch some videos.
I'm just looking at a screenshot of the Pool Panic gameplay trailer. Not playing it. I'm just looking at the screenshot, and I see the cue ball, and he's looking at me. He's got this big, wide, very toothy grin, and he's giving me a look that, honestly, Justin, is a look I would expect him to have if he had just plunged a knife into my gut. And then I stare at him, and he's just got like this wide-eyed, just empty stare, staring right back at me. And it's a little unnerving.
Yeah, definitely a weird looking game, but I don't know. I guess it was just the presentation of it just really kind of drew me into it immediately, and I'm really excited to kind of just see what this game actually has to offer. The weird thing is, I had read on one website that the game's actually coming out in like 2 days as we record this on the 19th of July. Oh. But different websites have it hasn't really been talked about at all. And I even went to Adult Swim Games, their actual website, and there's no mention of the game at all there. Yeah, so I don't really know what's going on with that. I hope it does come out this week, but I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see on that one. But yeah, that is Pool Panic. All
right. Next game I want to talk about is Knights and Bikes. That's Knights, Knight. And Knights and Bikes is a story. It's kind of like almost like how do I want to describe it? It's kind of got the same perspective as something like Earthbound or Secret of Mana, which is where a lot of the gameplay from Knights and Bikes takes its inspiration. The story itself is based off of something very similar to The Goonies. You play as these two young girls who are growing up in small town Americana, and it's just like the Goonies. You know, you need to solve these ancient mysteries, and you need to uncover hidden treasure, and you need to get it before the bad guys get it. And the game, like, Justin, if you can like look up screenshots of the game real quick, it looks beautiful. Like, it's got like this hand painted look to everything, and it's just like it's got a really, really cool aesthetic that jumped out to me right away. It's a brand new development team called Foam Sword, and they're made up of, they used to be developers at Media Molecule, and it's published by the folks at Double Fine. So it's kind of got like that old Tim Schafer-esque influence going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's so funny you said that because just looking at these images made me think of Double Fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're published in the game, and it looks really, really good. The game itself, now, I know he said 2018. The game, I think, is slated for 2018 in general. It's not nailed down to any one specific time frame within 2018. So it may be out this year. It may be out next year at the latest. But it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm really excited to pick this one up and play it. It's coming out to PlayStation 4 and Steam. So, yeah, Knights and Bikes. Look it up, check it out. Looks like it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it looks cool. The artwork looks like, some kind of storybook for like an older child, like maybe like a teenager kind of storybook. I love it. Yeah, it looks really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Yeah, what else you got?
Let's see. Yeah, like you mentioned about Knights and Bikes, how it just kind of has a 2018 release window. The rest of the games I'm going to talk about are the same. You know, there's no really confirmed actual date, unfortunately. But hopefully they all come out this year. Let's see. Next up I have Ooblets, which is coming out on PC and Xbox One. If you've never heard of this, it apparently is the gameplay has been being noted as a mashup between the Harvest Moon series and the Pokemon series, and that to me sounds great because I love both of those games. You know, have a farming sim, but with these RPG mechanics of where you kind of raise these creatures to fight for you and stuff. And it's all presented in this cool, like, kind of like a sharp, like, polygon, but lightly pastel-y colored, 3D style. Really has a great presentation. And, there's not really too much about the game that I could find other than just kind of like a brief overview for right now. But from, the screenshots that I've seen and just the overall idea of the gameplay, it just sounds really interesting. And, I'm really hoping that it comes out this year so I can check it out. And that is, again, Ooblets, Ooblets.
I remember when we were recording this episode originally in the now lost footage of that episode, I remember you had included Ooblets on your list, which is the only reason I didn't include it on my list. That is another one that I'm really, really looking forward to. It looks fantastic. Yeah, I'm really glad. I'm really glad you remembered to include it. Otherwise, this would have been it would have been a little awkward. But then no one else would have known. All right. So, third game I'm going to talk about is The Lion's Song. In this game, actually came out on Nintendo Switch just last week. Came out the 11th. This was an episodic narrative adventure game. It's set in early 20th century Austria, and it's got like the artwork is pixel based, but it's not like sprite graphics. Like everything is drawn with like a pixely border. Everything is colored with pixels. And it just looks beautiful. And it's set because it's set in Austria in the early 20th century. The music is very orchestral and it's very beautiful, and it's just very, very affecting. The game itself is in 4 episodes. At this point, all 4 episodes are out. You can buy the entire game for $10, but each episode, the first 3 episodes, detail the lives of 3 individuals. First one is a composer, the second is a painter, and the third is a mathematician. And the 4th episode sort of ties all of their narratives together. And each one of them has to deal with some sort of challenge or some sort of prejudice that is inherent to that time period. Like the painter and the composer need inspiration for their art. The mathematician is a woman, and she's trying to be a mathematician in a world that frowns on women being successful or having a successful career, so she has to challenge that. The whole game honestly feels like it would be very visual novel like, so I don't necessarily know if this would be the type of game that you would like, Justin, because I know you're not a fan of that genre, but I really enjoy a good visual novel. I just love a good story, good characters. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And it's out on a lot of different systems. Like it's out on Steam. You can pick it up on your mobile device, iOS or Android. It's on Mac, Linux, and of course, it is also on Nintendo Switch.
Well, I mean, I definitely want to check out more about that. And, yeah, you're right. I'm not crazy about visual novels. But then again, there have been a lot that I've played that I did really enjoy. I guess you could lump Life is Strange into those categories. And even Dream Daddy from last year. So, I will definitely be looking up more info about that.
All right, cool. What else you got?
All right, so next is actually a game that was on my list in the beginning of the year as one of my most anticipated games of 2018, and that is Donut County.
Oh, nice. Lest we forget.
Yeah, so Donut County was actually in the news recently for a company took the idea of Donut County and made like this knockoff mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
And was able to release it before Donut County came out. And the creator of Donut County, he was tweeting about it and basically saying, it's frustrating that happened, but he's not going to really let it, deter him from his project. And, there's still enough differences between, that clone and the actual game that he's not too worried about it. And I, looking at videos of Donut County and all the screenshots and stuff I've been following for a while, like this game has such a unique charm and style to it that I don't think anybody could even match that if they really tried. And basically how the game works is you are controlling this hole on the ground, and it's kind of like a puzzle game where you have to basically suck up everything or get items that are on the ground to drop into the hole. And to complete a level, you kind of have to get everything to drop, and clear the stage. But I think you have to do it in a certain order, like starting maybe with the smallest and getting to the biggest. And it's got this really cool 3D aesthetic with these like voxel style graphics. And there was in the intro trailer there was these raccoons that were like playing the game that were talking and like had like some attitude and stuff, and I kind of fell in love with the characters, and
Right.
just made me really interested in the whole project. Unfortunately, again, this is another game where it was supposed to come out in summer of 2018, but now it just says 2018, and we just don't really have an exact time frame. And I don't know if this whole thing with the clone game, if that had to maybe add something to the project, it might take a little bit of time. We're not 100% sure, but I am still very excited for this. Looking forward to it. It's coming out on PS4 and PC, and I just can't wait for it to come out. So that's Donut County on PS4 and PC.
Yep. Remember, Donut County. Accept no substitutes, everyone. Don't buy any knockoffs. Support the official release. All right. The last game I'm going to talk about is now, Justin. I'm gonna need your editing skills here because I need you to add an echo effect. Okay, I'm counting on you here. All right.
You got it.
All right. So this is going to be an event. It is called Griftlands. And Griftlands is an adventure RPG set in space. Now, Justin, you have to add echo effects to space. All right, I'm not gonna check beforehand. I'm just going to assume that you're gonna do that for me.
Sure.
All right, I can always count on you. So anyway, Griftlands. It is an adventure RPG set in space. And it is by Clay Entertainment. It's developed and produced by the same people who made the Don't Starve games, Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together, as well as Mark of the Ninja. And if you look at those games, like they've got that very distinct illustrated style where it almost looks like a pure like pen and paper illustration brought to life. They have that same aesthetic going on in Griftlands, but almost to like a 10th power. Like the level of illustration that is present in this game is just phenomenal. Like this game, it just honestly looks like you're playing a cartoon. It just, beautiful, beautiful art style. I love it. It honestly looks like you're playing a mature cartoon. Now it's an RPG, so there are lots of elements that you can roleplay as, and as you're interacting with this space environment, you can barter for a lot of different things. You can barter money. You can barter loyalty to different factions or different groups, and you can even barter your own morality. So how good or evil a person you are, you can actually barter that away for various goods and services. Let me see. It's a turn-based party combat style. So it's got the classic, you've got your characters on one side, enemy characters on the other, and you all take turns trying to attack one another. Now, the game is, again, like a lot of the games we've listed so far, it's supposed to be out in 2018. When I looked online, the release date was marked for late 2017, early 2018, which it's a little late for that.
Yeah, I was on Foam Sword Games website for Knights and Bikes, and that said their initial release date was spring of 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of them haven't hit their projected release windows, which is fine. I mean, these guys can take as much time as they need to make sure that these games are as great and as polished as they need to be. But yeah, it looks just absolutely awesome. Definitely check out the gameplay trailer for it. That is Griftlands. Yeah, I believe it's coming out for. It's definitely coming out for Steam. I'm not sure what other platforms it's going to be on, but yeah, check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't heard of that, so I'm definitely gonna look that up. Let's see. And I have two more. I'll just kind of lump these together
Sure.
quickly. Yeah. Let's see. First up is a game that I've been following for a long time when I first saw a screenshot of it. It's being made by one guy. It's called Save Me, Mr. Taco. And it's Tako, not Taco.
Uh,
But Mr. Taco is an octopus, and basically the appeal of this game is that it is being made as a throwback to the original Game Boy games. Like, it even has like the split pea green, aesthetic to it and everything.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a platformer, adventure platformer. It's heavily inspired by the Kirby games, where you know how Kirby, his power is the copy ability, where he sucks in enemies and gains their power.
Right.
Mr. Taco gets to wear different hats, and each of the hats he wears gives him a new ability. And
okay.
yeah, it just looks like a lot of fun, and definitely has some nostalgia in it. And the Mr. Taco, the squid character, is really cool looking. So again, I've been following this one for a while. It actually got picked up by Nicholas. They're going to be the game's publisher, which is a big get. Nicholas does Binding of Isaac and Cave Story and a bunch of other games.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So-
they are a quote unquote big deal.
Yeah. So that's coming out hopefully 2018. Looking forward to it. And the other one was I don't remember where I first saw this, but there's a game that is currently called Untitled Goose Game. And-
Yes. I forgot
Yeah.
about this.
So it's got this cool, flat colored cartoon style aesthetic where you play as a goose and your job is just to wreak havoc on people because,
That's what
geese are known for causing trouble.
that's what geese do. They're menaces.
Yeah.
I hate them. I absolutely hate them.
From what I understand, it's like a puzzle game where almost like how the Hitman games kind of work, where you need to get something to happen. So you kind of have to create like a string of events, a chain reaction, if you will, to like get the thing to happen that you need to happen. Like, for example, the example they gave was you need to get a farmer to wear a specific hat or something. So as the goose, you like steal a hat and you go and bring it over to a picnic basket and swap it out with a picnic basket, and then bring the picnic basket to the person that has the hat that you need the farmer to wear, and like trade it, and then grab the new hat and put it where the old hat used to be, or something like that, to like kind of get through levels. And you're just a goose running amok causing trouble. And that just looks pretty crazy. So crazy and weird, which is my theme for this evening, and I'm like really excited for all these different games that will be able to explore that.
Since you mentioned that it's reminiscent of like Hitman, where you need to try to manipulate the farmer or whoever into doing certain things, I've just imagined that the goose is Agent 47 himself. Like, he's wearing like the little suit, and he like convinces the farmer to go over there, and then like he'll like grab some piano wire and then strangle him. And then the goose has to like hide the body somewhere so no one can discover it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might happen. I don't know if it will or not.
I mean, we really don't know much about this game, so for all we know, yeah, it could be the next sequel to Hitman. I am probably right about that.
Yeah, I think you got a good shot at being right.
I'm definitely right about that. I want to see the goose kill people.
Man, I'm watching this video for Grifflands. You're so right. This art style is incredible looking.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it beautiful? Like, there's just so many like that's the thing too about like these indie games. Like, they have that freedom to just kind of go in different directions that a lot of the big name publishers might say, nah, we don't want to do that. We want to go for like something more gritty and realistic, like CGI graphics. But at the indie level, you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah. That is incredibly true. It's one of the most appealing things about them is that they're not bound by big publishers to, create an experience that's supposed to appeal to wide audiences. It's like, hey, if you have an idea, we'll give you some money, but just give us something unique. Go crazy, do whatever you want. Whatever your passion is, what you really want to explore, the stories that you want to tell. We're not going to tell you what you can and can't do. So, just get out there, make your best product, and create a game.
Yep. Yeah. God bless indies.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sticking with us through this ride for indies coming out this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we highlighted a bunch of indie games that we're excited for. Maybe we missed a few indie games that you're looking forward to. If there are any indie games that you're excited about that we didn't talk about, email them. Email them to us at parpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, we'd love to hear from everyone and see what you have to say about all of those wonderful, beautiful indies.
Yeah, seriously. Give us your list. Highlight them. And we'll talk about them on the show and spread the love.
Yeah, Zool, if you've got any complaints about my playing of The Witcher 3, you can email that, print it out, and then dump it right in the trash where it belongs.
All right. That's all for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes Tuesdays on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and will really help us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Press A repeatedly. I'm at cgold113, and Justin is at oaf7724. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's parpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out our new site on pressarepeatedly.com. That's all for this week. Chris and Justin signing off. And remember to blow up the evil snowman with your mighty superpowers. Press A repeatedly.